Hi students, in this video I want to walk you through how you can use StatCrunch to create graphs like box plots and histograms and how you can get summary stats. So my sample data set is interesting variables across several school systems in the greater Boston area. Some of those variables are the community, it's either a city or a town, the type of where the county is, per capita income, population, SAT reading, SAT writing, SAT math, expenditure per pupils, etc., etc. There are two qualitative or categorical variables, community and county. All the rest are quantitative or numerical variables. So the first thing I'm going to illustrate is box plots. So under graph, I'm going to pick box plot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to analyze the SAT math scores, and I want it grouped by community, whether it's a city or town. I want fences to identify the outliers, and I want the mean and median both plotted. So here is the graph that StatCrunch produces. Let's talk about it. So as we look at this, we've got cities and towns, and in general, I'm going to say that cities seem to have a lower math SAT score than towns. If I click on any one of these either of these boxes, I get a lot of statistics. I get the interquartile range, which measures variability, which is 50, quartiles, and the median. Ditto for this. The only thing that is left out is the mean, so that if I want the mean, I can hover on the green, and the green gives me the median. Let's talk a little bit about symmetry. In the towns, I see that the median is a little bit smaller than the mean, which means that it is skewed towards the high end, okay? It is right skewed. The reverse is true for the cities. The mean is a little bit less than the median, which means it's skewed towards the low end, or it is left skewed. I also want to note the outliers. There are two high outliers for towns. If I put a box around it, I see that one of those outliers is Acton-Boxborough. Acton-Boxborough had a math SAT of 649, which is unusually high for towns. The other town that had an outlier, a high outlier, was Lexington. It had a math SAT of 656, which is unusually high for towns. If I want to get rid of that highlighting, I can click clear, and I can go after the outlier for the cities. That was only one row, and the one row was, well, it's down the bottom here. That one row was Newton. Newton had an unusually high math SAT score for a city. The next thing I'd like to do is to close out of this and do another analysis involving box plots. So now I'm going to go again to box plots, and I would like to compare SAT reading, and I'm going to hold down my command key, SAT writing and SAT math, the same thing, means and medians, and use fences. And let's compute that. See how nice that is? All three are displayed in one graph, so we can visually compare them. The width of the boxes, the IQRs, are approximately the same. I would say that if we hover on the median for SAT writing seems to be a little bit less than the medians for reading and math. And again, the mean seems to be a little bit less than for reading and math for SAT writing. We can see outliers in all categories. And in fact, here we have some low outliers. So across all districts, communities, cities, and towns, there are two, I should clear this first. There are two low outliers for math. Let's see what they are. They are Lawrence with an SAT of in math of 404, and let's scoot up here, and it must be down the bottom. The other low outlier is Southbridge with an incredibly low math SAT of 397. So you can see the advantage of displaying box plots. You can do multiple box plots in one visual. And why don't we take a peek at histograms? Suppose we want to do the same thing. We want histograms for reading, writing, and math. I'm holding my command key, and I'd like means and medians to be displayed, and I'm going to compute them. Now we have to display those on separate pages. There's a page for SAT reading. I'm looking at it. It looks very symmetrical. The means and medians, if I hover over them, I can see exactly what they are very close. SAT writing, again, means and medians are pretty close, and it looks fairly symmetrical. Same thing for SAT math. So histograms are lovely. The problem is you can't put them all in one graph. I needed 3 pages to display the histograms for SAT reading, math, writing. Okay, I'm going to close out of that. Now suppose we just want to crunch numbers. Then we could go under summary stats on the columns. And again, I just want the numbers. I don't want the visual. I want SAT reading, writing, and math. And ideally don't want all of these statistics. I'm going to use my command key. I want the sample size. I'm going to hold this down. I want the mean, and I want the standard deviation, which is not shown on a box plot. I want the median, and I want the min, the max, the quartiles, and I want the quartiles, and I want the IQR, and that's quite frankly all I'm interested in. So if number crunching and summary stats is all I want, there it is in one big beautiful table, the summary stats for reading, writing, and math. Again, if I look at the standard deviations, they're comparable. Seems like there's not that much difference in the variability of those 3 tests. And if I look at the IQRs, the smallest variability is in SAT reading, and the largest variability is in SAT writing. SAT math, a little bit better than SAT reading, and then at the low end is SAT writing. And the same thing seems to be true if we're looking at the medians. SAT math comes in on the top, SAT reading comes in on the middle, and SAT writing is the lowest. So I hope this video helps you in determining how to use StatCrunch to get graphs for a large data set and how to get summary statistics for a large data set.